On the other news, the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, is intensifying its efforts to curb the sale of substandard materials in local markets. These and other stories in tonight's Business Wrap from the Philippine News Agency.
In our business news, the Department of Trade and Industry is stepping up its efforts to prevent sale of low-quality materials in local markets. Trade Secretary Maria Cristina Roque said this initiative, led by Task Force Kalasag, would go after substandard products as construction activities are expected to rise during the dry season. Roque stressed that construction materials must be locally manufactured, meet quality standards, and be compliant with the Tatak Pinoy Act or Republic Act 11981's criteria for government project prioritization. The DTI said that nearly 21,000 units of substandard steel and other materials worth 1.44 million pesos were seized by Task Force Kalasag earlier this month. Several projects, each worth over 50 billion pesos, including one from Korean technology giant Samsung, are awaiting the approval of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. The Korean firm is expected to invest 50.65 billion pesos into Samsung Electromechanics Philippines Corporation, or SEMPHIL. Special Assistant to the President for Economic and Investment Affairs, Secretary Frederick Go, expressed optimism that the Office of the President will finalize the approval process within the first half of the year. Over 100 billion units of multi-layer chip capacitors for the automotive sectors will be produced in a plant in Calamba City, Laguna. This is set to launch commercial operations by the fourth quarter of 2027, and this is expected to create around 3,000 jobs. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas reported a 0.5% increase in the foreign currency-dominated loans granted by banks in the fourth quarter of 2024. BSP data released on Monday showed that outstanding loans granted by foreign currency deposit units, or FCDU, of banks reached $15.82 billion as of end December 2024 from $15.75 billion as of end September last year. Year-on-year outstanding FCDU loans increased by 4.3% from the end December level of $15.16 billion. Meanwhile, FCDU loan portfolio in the last quarter of 2024 remained predominantly medium to long-term, or those payable over a term of more than 1 year. Of the total FCDU loans, those granted to residents accounted for 62.7%, or $9.91 billion. The BSP said majority of these loans went to merchandise and service exporters, towing, tanker, trucking, forwarding, personal and other industries, and power generation companies.